Hey everybody, I am Chris Stegall with MK Partners, joined today by Jessie Penaloza. Hey Jessie,
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
pretty good. We are, it is March 10th. It is Mario Day, because that's what MAR 10 looks like. But it is also the end of TDX. Trailblazer DX has officially come and gone this week. Sort of the spring version of Dreamforce, the Dreamforce Lite, if you will, happens up in San Francisco in the spring of every year. And ever since, 2020, the virtual participation options have really expanded. And so even though, Jesse, you and I didn't head up to San Francisco this year, we did get to follow along online. I saw you on Twitter in the Trailblazer community, being active, watching sessions. So I figured we could hop on a call today and sort of talk about, you know, what we saw at Trailblazer DX and run through the highlights and a recap.
Oh, definitely, yes. And I definitely enjoyed that virtual experience. You feel like you didn't have any type of connection, but with everything was going on, it really felt like it immersed you into the event itself. It felt like you actually were there. So
Yeah,
that was a great experience.
yeah, it's really cool to see sort of Salesforce Plus come into its own. The Salesforce streaming service where they host all of their virtual content now and have sort of like a nice bucket for people to participate no matter where they are in the world.
Yep. And that was a cool thing. In every session and every keynote that they were kind of posting up, people were kind of just messaging like what part of the world they were in. So you kind of sense of where people were coming from. And like you said, people were up real early in the morning, because the time zone, this is broadcast in Pacific Standard Time here in California, but people were in other parts of the world at 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, didn't matter when, they were up and they were watching it.
Yeah. And like the weather wasn't great here in Los Angeles, but it also wasn't that great in San Francisco. So it was nice to be able to stay indoors and keep track of everything too.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, we got the agenda pulled up here. Um, what were did you see have any highlights from day one or day two from these sort of main events?
Oh yes, definitely the main keynote, pretty much brought everything kind of together, teased a lot of the products that they're going to be releasing, along with some memorable mentions of some new of the golden hoodies that were up and coming. So they had their customer stores that came up. They estimated about 5,000 people attended the event, which tends to be somewhat of a norm during these last few events that took place. But like you mentioned, it's pretty much like a mini Dreamforce, but yet there's still so much going on. So you can kind of see in the background how packed the session was. And because it's the main one, it tends to drive a lot of interest. And it's one of the longer ones for the day. But they released a lot of really cool stuff. What do you call? We have a new mascot in the mix already, so he was brought in, and then we're going to be going into the what do you call the Einstein GPT, right? So with GPT being very popular pretty much everywhere around the world, and everybody creating their own kind of flavor. I feel like I'm in Baskin Robbins, and everybody kind of gets their own little flavor of Chat GPT, right? So obviously Salesforce is going to have their own, and the big push is for Einstein GPT. So they show off a lot of demonstrations of how it would help different products and services. And that was really exciting. A lot of people were like, it's one of those like there was positive and not necessarily negative, but more like, okay, is this gonna replace individuals? Because I guess that's a big push that we're talking about. But there was a good analysis by one of the reporters that went ahead and interviewed one of the main individuals there that pretty much said, when new products and services come out, they don't replace individuals, but they help individuals grow. So it's not a replacement of physical individuals, but actually an enhancement to give more tools and better and provide more productivity. So I look forward to kind of being able to utilize it and see how well and how much more productive individuals can become and actually unlock more, solve more problems. In a matter of fact.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you and I see on the marketing side, but also I think every business unit experiences where as productivity increases, there's always that sort of like back of mind thought that, oh, if one person can now do the work of two people, then you don't need two people. You only need one person. But that's a very short-sighted approach because it's, in the business world, you're not competing against yourself from last year exclusively. You're also competing against the other companies in the space. And so as everybody gets more productive, it doesn't make sense to say, okay, now that we're more productive, we can do the same work with less people. Like the goal is growth. So it's like,
Yes.
now that we're more productive, all of us can do more work and hopefully keep up with the pace of business as it accelerates. So yeah, I agree with the analysis that I'm not worried that Einstein GPT or Chat GPT or, the voice AIs are like coming for our job. It's definitely been my experience that as new tools come out, I've never been replaced by a tool. I've just been more empowered. Like you think about the Adobe suite, you think about Salesforce, every tool that gets added in saves us time, but we're still here doing our jobs. We're just better at it than we were before the tool.
Oh yeah.
Cool. But yeah, like I'm very excited about the GPT announcements. I thought those were really cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of positive and a lot of buzz going on in social media about that. At the same time, at least they also did provide a little bit of a breakdown of what's actually under the hood, as I like to call it. Sometimes people, you get the black box and it's like, okay, you put this in and spit this out, right? But at least they provided a good diagram illustration of what's actually under the hood. So it was a good way, and they did go through one of the keynotes to kind of go a little bit more in depth as to how that's all put together. I guess the biggest question, just like everything else, is like how much is this going to cost, right? Is it going to be like, per product? Is it going to be per search or per engagement? So that still hasn't been finalized. So everybody's kind of just like, okay, we like what this product can provide in its potential, but how much is that going to cost out of pocket?
Yeah.
Um, I also did like on the second day, this is the first time I had seen this, is true to the core. It was a really good keynote that actually embodied the interaction between users, Salesforce users, such as and admins, right? Reaching out to developers and actually Salesforce decision makers as to why certain features and services are not offered, or why are certain parts of the products not able to do certain tasks. So as you use each of these products every single day, there's certain things you would like to go ahead and be able to do without having to do repeated steps. So instead of having to click 2, 3 times or having to consolidate some sort of information in such a way where you can analyze and assess it rather quickly, sometimes that task becomes a little tedious. So is a way for those individuals to express their concerns, and with the idea exchange portal that they've used, assess which new services are going to be coming out in summer 23, winter 24, and spring 24 to address some of those concerns. So it was a lot of back and forth. So it was the first time I actually got to see individuals express their concerns and then have that feedback as to whether or not it's going to be something that's going to be addressed or on the priority list or not. So that session was true to the core, and it was really, really informative because you got a hands-on. Usually when you kind of see that, kind of like a debate, like people are trying to justify, hey, this should be part of uh, the
Mhm.
requirements, or this should be what we should be able to do. It shouldn't be a nuisance or inconvenience.
Yeah.
And one of the things I just want to mention on that is there was a big push as to whether or not, because it is a big part of the community, nonprofits. There was a lot of voice in nonprofits not being heard, and why wasn't a nonprofit representative as part of that keynote?
Yeah. Um, those true to the core sessions are they feel like a uniquely Salesforce uh, sort of event because they do them, I believe, at most they do them at Dreamforce, they do them at TDX every year. Um, but they're always interesting because it's a real chance for like you said, for the community to directly ask questions and often critique almost leadership at
Hmm.
Salesforce.
Yep.
And for the like, it's impressive because there are a lot of companies, especially in the tech space, that will not put product owners or leadership in the firing line like that. But because trust is such a core component of Salesforce's philosophy, that like they've always had these true to the core sessions as an important part where it's like, hey, 90% of TDX is going to be marketing and selling you the new features and how Salesforce is helping all of these clients and what you could do if you only added a few more products, if you added a few more features. So then to also open themselves up for like some critical counter punches and saying like, hey, this was promised to work this way, but we haven't seen it. And it usually gives you some really good insight into what's going on behind the scenes at Salesforce and how they're like, what problems they are aware of and how they're working to address them. And a lot of times it's a good chance to bring visibility to things that, you experience only if you're in the system day after day doing the work that somebody who is, high up on the product team at Salesforce might not get a chance to do because they're not running into the nitty gritty button clicks that, you know, this every time I hit this X, it like doesn't read the first click and it only reads the second one. And it's like, wow, that bug can get solved. And you can watch, a C-suite executive react in real time to hearing about bugs. And it's impressive when they do it with like grace as opposed to getting defensive like some tech companies I won't name but could imagine don't take criticism super well.
Yeah, and that was it was a big oversight that I was able to kind of see how the actual individuals, which are developers, architects, are actually working on the core, right, versus the C-suite executive. Uh, Understand that there is a little bit of disconnect from time to time, but helping them kind of bring together, hey, you know what, this should be of a concern. We may need to reprioritize this, especially when the community is voicing that concern.
Yeah,
So it was nice to see that, like, okay, they're trying to bridge that gap. As mentioned, that was one of the most interesting sessions that I saw, because it was more like exactly what you're explaining, more engagement, interacting directly with those individuals that are like the decision makers that can kind of steer the ship in one direction over the other.
yeah. And then of course at the end of the first day there was the Fallout Boy concert, which we unfortunately missed because we
Yeah.
weren't in San Francisco. But always a fun part of those Salesforce events is who's going to be headlining the concert of night one.
But I did also say on that first day we got to see that new mascot that we're talking about earlier,
Oh,
and I
that's right,
guess
Flo.
yes, and that was really cool. It was very unfortunate. I don't know the people. There was a mention, but I didn't see it directly. But there was a mention that he had a little bit of an accident coming out into his introduction. Apparently, he fell, but because he's a squirrel, he quickly jumped back up and he was ready to go. So I was looking for that little video to kind of see where it was at, because even though it's the first time you're coming out, to kind of have that little incident of fall, maybe it was a good way to kind of show that you're ready to go and go. But it was really nice to see that. So yes, we have Flo now, which is
Yeah,
the new mascot,
there's
and
Flo
everybody
right
was
there.
running to get their stickers and their plushies and everything all over the place. But there is a quest on top of that if you complete, and you can still complete it after the event is over. You will be entered into a raffle. You can win some of those what do you call flow socks. They look really cool. They got that nice purple and like dark darker blue type with his kind of color mix. But it's something to look forward to. And that
Yeah,
that pretty much wrapped up day one for the most part.
yeah.
Um,
And it was also Salesforce's birthday.
yes, and that leads right into day two. So that was the first time for me to know, and obviously now it makes sense why they kind of have Trailblazer DX kind of around that time frame. They're celebrating Salesforce birthday as well. So that now I get it. So that was really cool to kind of see that part. And yes, that apparently at the event itself, there were a lot of people made cupcakes. There was a lot of references, a lot of buzz on social media regarding this and celebrating. So it was nice to kind of see that. Okay, you've been here for 24 years. So if you look at that as back in 1999, I want to say, if you're looking at 24 years now from that. for
Yeah.
now, and that kind of makes sense.
And it was also MK Partner's birthday. A bit
Yes,
earlier, you know,
17.
but but it's funny that, our two companies are, the same astrological sign,
Yes,
same
correct.
horoscope.
Um, and also, obviously, for those people that did attend, and it's one of the activities that I like to do because I was fortunate enough to be able to do Dreamforce last year, is their Trailblazer Quest itself. Their actual quest that you can do while you're at the event, where you can actually get one of these hoodies that I'm wearing, right? Which is really comfy. Everybody had mentioned and talked about it, right? Everybody said that it's one of those things that you, what do you call, that you must have if you're in this community, and they weren't wrong. It's really comfortable. It's fitted. It snugs, right? It doesn't feel like it's very tight. It kind of stretches a little bit, and it's really comfortable. And it's very lightweight too.
Yeah.
So that's always a plus. So I can never get enough of these. So I definitely look forward to getting my second one, hopefully later this year or do some sort of quest. But they're also having that, what do you call, Snowball Astro plushie. Because apparently that's a limited edition one and it hadn't come back for a while. So a lot of people are looking forward to actually getting that plushie itself. So the activities themselves are not that difficult. So you kind of just went around the venue and participated. And after you're done, you do a simple QR code scan, go take it to the actual station, and from there they'll confirm, and then you get your goodies.
Yeah. Yeah, those Trailblazer hoodies are nice, and it's always fun when you're headed into town for a Salesforce event, whether it be a Dreamforce TDX or like one of the local community groups like a Northeast Dreamin' or a Tahoe Dreamin'. It seems like no matter what time you get there, when you get off the plane at the airport, you're going to see a whole bunch of Trailblazer hoodies and be like, oh, I know why you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why you're here. The whole way to the airport or the whole way to the hotel and everything else. It's just Trailblazer hoodies everywhere you look.
Yeah. And then what do you call the rest of the day two on the keynotes was pretty much just going over more of actually going through with the Einstein GPT. So just breaking it down more in terms of what they're forecasting and just providing you more of that under the hood as I mentioned earlier. And obviously a derivative of Einstein GPT will be Slack, a Slack variant of GPT to help you generate and automate some of that stuff that you used to have to manually create, like responses or templates or some sort of display, some sort of visual. And the cool part is they actually show that the AI, what do you call, component where you are actually able to actually create images through speech, through text to speech. So if you say you want a mountain and then you want, what do you call, somebody walking on the side of a mountain, right? Obviously at a distance, and you want a particular color, it would generate that for you. And then you can always alter it by providing it more information directly from speech instead of having to type it in. You could type it in if you want to, but you can do both. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool because it was automatically being generated while you're speaking, and then you can go ahead and alter it until you got to that one point that you like. So obviously, it's a learning curve for the AI itself. So you have to teach it. So I guess one of the biggest things that people or misconception that people will have or misunderstood is it's fixed and it's set in terms of like this is the only thing it can do, and to some extent that's true, but in reality, the big difference is that it learns based on what you provide it. So if the more people are providing more information, the more it's going to learn how to interpret particular requests. So it'll improve continuously over time. Doesn't mean that everything it generates is going to be what you like to 100%, but as you engage with it, it will be able to understand what you're looking for and be able to create those things, and even surprise you with creating things anticipating what you might have thought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a super exciting technology. We're already seeing applications in Salesforce, with help writing Apex code, help coming up with formula field formulas. Really creative use case came out of the SFA team this week. We should have a video up on that next week. And like
Ooh,
you said, the the way that Salesforce is really embracing GPT and starting to build it into the product base is like only going to accelerate that. So
Mm.
that's exciting. I should have mentioned, I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Quest, and the fact that folks there could win or get a hoodie, by completing the Quest. We had a little contest ourselves, or still do, for folks that weren't able to make it in person, or
Yes.
folks could, but a chance to win a Cert voucher. So make your next Salesforce certification exam free. I'll go ahead and throw the link to this contest in the description of this video. But several ways to win. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You're already here watching the video. You might as well hit the subscribe button and get some points in the contest. Um, Keeping up on Twitter, etc., etc. Subscribe to the blog, which again, linked to in this video, or go to the contest. Go to the contest. Click all the way down, get entered, and you'll have a chance to win a Cert voucher. You can't win a certification. You'll win a chance to pass the test, but we can't pass the test for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, and to add on that, for those that did get a chance to actually take a cert there, because TDX did offer on the second day, or I believe both days, I can't remember if it was both, that they did offer those free cert tests. So a lot of people got a chance to take a cert. So if you didn't get a chance, this is your opportunity here to be able to get one more free chance there,
Yeah.
to be able to take one test.
Yeah, those boot camps, like this is the boot camp page, but all of the learning opportunities that take place at events like this are tremendously valuable. And like Jessie was saying, if you didn't get a chance to watch live, you know, go ahead and enter the contest for a chance to win a cert. But if you do want to catch the keynotes and sessions that you missed, most of them, or many of them, I'll say, are up on Salesforce Plus. So if you come to the TrailblazerDX page, head over to the sessions tab, you should see, and here they are. You'll see, all of the sessions that were held. You can search, you can filter, and the ones that are available on Salesforce Plus, like the keynote, will have that little tag here. And so then you can go ahead and click Watch Now, head to Salesforce Plus, and learn about all the stuff that we've been discussing today.
Definitely excited to go back and circle back on some of those that were not showcased live, but they will be up there afterwards. So
Yeah.
great experience from a Salesforce Plus. I got to give them some kudos there because it definitely is nice and rewarding. And to be able to attend both days and kind of just have that, virtual experience was definitely rewarding. So looking forward to future events if they do something like this, just to kind of be able to get that knowledge base going.
Yeah. And I think, speaking of which,
Yes.
and a good way to sort of wrap up our discussion today. Speaking of the next session, they have the dates up for Trailblazer DX 2024. It will be March 6th and 7th. I guess now you guys all know my email and phone number. That's the phone number for the company. That's fine. Give MK Partners a call. Give us a call, ask us for help. We'll be happy to do it. But yeah, so we got the dates for next year. Um, Go ahead and save the dates, start making your plans now. But obviously, we'll have a lot of events before then with all the Dreamin' events, Dreamforce itself, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, another awesome TDX in the books. Jessie, thank you for that recap. Thanks for keeping your finger on the pulse all week.
Of course, not a problem. And on just a little add on based on what you said right now for the save the date. For Dreamforce, obviously, as we know, it's going to be in September, right? Which is going to be the full version of this and the main one. I believe it was mentioned that sometime in June is when the actual registrations go out and stuff. So for those that actually like to go to both or want to look into that one as well, it's definitely one I'm excited. I'm trying to see if I can make it. It's one of those things. But just like this one, right? Always save the dates. These experiences are great and memorable, and you get to meet a lot of people. So
Yeah,
it's very rewarding. So it's really nice to be able to do these recaps and kind of, even from a non-in-person attendee, you still get a lot of information and able to connect with a lot of people and at least familiarize with names. I think names is very important. So you know who is who. So when you see them in person, be like, oh, I recognize you, or I know who you are. I did see a lot of that too. A lot of people were mentioning in the virtual conference that people were be like, okay, how does everybody know me? And
Yeah.
a lot of people pay attention.
Yeah.
So look out.
Yeah, that's also like you were saying, those true to the core sessions are always interesting because you really get to put faces to names at some of like the higher ups at Salesforce, and then for the rest of the conference, you'll see them at the water cooler, and it's like, okay, well, this isn't a true to the core session anymore. I shouldn't walk up to him and say, "Hey, what's going on with this screen?" But yeah, it is always fun to just sort of see the Salesforce celebrities out and
Hmm.
about and really start putting names to faces, like you were saying.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for joining me again, Jesse. Thank you, everybody, for watching another successful TDX. As always, please do like and subscribe here. Drop your favorite moments from TDX, favorite sessions, etc., in the comments. And as always, we'll be back soon with more Salesforce news, tips, tricks, how-tos, and all of that fun stuff, courtesy of MK Partners. Thanks for watching, and thanks again, Jesse, for joining today.
You're very welcome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the cloud.
Bye.